almost every one of us have an experience we can remember where a teacher, a well-intentioned father or mother, or maybe not so well-intentioned, someone criticized you and you felt pushed down. Ever since that moment, you can remember it. Picture whatever pain you've carried and place your hand over towards them and say to that person, I now address you. From that time, when you punished me or beat me up or told me I wasn't good enough, I take this pain that I've gathered all these years and I send it back to the source, back to where it came.
Welcome, Gary. It's so great to have you on our show and talk to you about your amazing spectrum of offerings, such as bodywork and presentation skills. Tell me, Gary, we go back, what, 10 years, something like that? 10 years?
Longer than I can remember.
Longer than I can remember.
Yes, 10 or 15 years.
There you
We've
go.
known each other here in Melbourne, Australia.
And, you know, I've been the recipient of a lot of your different modalities. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what's happening so the viewers understand? Because the health channel, people don't understand that in any aspect of health, it is like integrity of a system. So health or integrity. So with your body work and your combination of skills, you look at the whole situation. So tell me a little bit about your amazing background and skills.
I will, Freddie. Thank you for the honor of being able to do this with you and reach even more people. Because I'm a presentation coach and a bit of a engaging, instigatory one, I'm not going to just download information. It's not my style. So my whole style of communicating is in engaging through responsiveness with our verbal words, our vocal sounds, and our visual delivery all lined up. And since you've experienced my work, rather than me share what my perspective is, for the purposes of the viewers and listeners, it'll be far more interesting if first we can hear your experience, what has been different about your receiving my health modality, because you've had so many experiences with so many unique, wonderful people. And then I'll respond to that. That would feel more authentic for our conversation, please.
Okay, well, having first experienced bodywork from you was interesting because you came from so many multi-dimensional perspectives of working out the traumas, the emotional storage in people, the physical lockups that you don't realize are psychosomatic. And, you know, I came to you at a time where I was going through a lot of stress and challenge, and you were able to release those tensions through body work and deep tissue massage, and your profound knowledge of the human anatomy was quite surprising to me, because I have a strong understanding of human anatomy. So it's hard when you find body workers that pretend, but, you know, being you and your background and well-versed and studied, my experience was that there was so much more to you than I first imagined. And when it came down to these stored problems and the body work, it then reached into the realm of emotional dispositions, which affected my presentation skills, my communication. So here I am working out communication with myself before I could even work out communication with others. So yes, to explain you fully is very difficult from my perspective. It's more experiential, and the results are that I'm a far better communicator, having been tutored by you and receiving coaching on presentation skills. but also from a mind-body or body-mind connection, I feel far more fluid in my beingness, in my wellness. So it's a very holistic approach.
Good to hear your view. Now I can piggyback on that. In the human design system, I'm a generator, so I'm best when I respond to what's in front of me. So now hearing your experience, and so that others have just heard your experience, it's so true that a lot of the patterns that I've learned to work with, I feel like an archaeologist of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And by freeing the physical layers of tension that are on the surface, out come the emotional stored decisions that have held these tightnesses in place. The second layer, physical, emotional, and underneath that, the creative layer of people's amazing gifts, whether that's as a speaker, presenter like yourself, people who are singers, writers. We all have a message, often buried inside. And so, like Michelangelo said, I saw the angel in the marble and I chiseled at these layers until I set it free. So this is how I see people. And most everyone, we're all locked up, buried within our own landscape. My job, as I see it, is to create freedom, safety. You said it yourself, Freddie, just a few minutes ago, a greater flow. And so by stretching the muscles and doing that at the same time with tremendous pressure, gentleness, and focused intention, the same time as the exhalation through the muscles, then the whole body is relaxing. That's when I implant focused affirmations in rhyme, so that there's a recognition, a recall, a reverberation that's instantly memorable, that encodes this new program in the muscle memory instantly. And this is how the shifts take place, combining breath, sound, visualization, stretching, and the rhyme, those 5 components at the same time. So there's a synergistic embodiment of whatever is brought forth, particularly with communication. So when we're stretching these areas, I'll often ask someone to say this after me: I trust what I deeply know.
What I deeply
Say that. Trust what I deeply know. Yep. So my thoughts, words, and actions fully, freely flow. So it rhymes, but also it captivates, it captures, it activates this new wisdom for the entire consciousness of the being to then remember this as the new default pattern rather than the old litany that was there before. So this is how my system works.
It's interesting, Gary, because when I first experienced it, I'll be honest, I thought it was a bit weird, and I thought, oh my God, and I ran. Mm-hmm. But having known you for the time I have, and having time through understanding the visual, kinesthetic, auditory, gustatory, and other sensory perceptions through NLP, I started to join the dots and realize that the work you were doing was at such deep subliminal levels sometimes. I had some aha moments and some, oh my God. And that's why I came back and said, I need to have a closer look at this, because some of those patterns you instilled in me 12, 15 years ago started to emerge 5, 6 years later. So that's when I got the recognition. I didn't get it on the day. And I walked away and said, what was that? But then 5 or 6 years later, all of a sudden, it's gone off like a Contact 500 pill. And I've gone, oh my God, Gary influenced me in that way for that released thought pattern or whatever. Like we were doing a presentation session a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about unresolved trauma. Now, I thought I had dealt with that, but I know that our session went sideways from presentation into releasing that trauma because it was a blockage in the presentation. Hence, I had via Zoom, I had the experience of releasing that trauma. So even though you weren't physically laying hands on me on the musculature, because I had that previous reference structure where you have done body work with me before, I was able to mind-body connect to what you were saying and doing and get that freedom from that trauma. And that's something that I want to open up for the listeners and watchers, that they may seek you out, because sometimes through traditional methods and whatever, people have gone to hundreds of doctors. I've had people say to me, I've tried all the meds, I've done this, I've done that. And then in a couple of short sessions with people like ourselves, we've shifted things that others can't. And I think your work is quite profound and quite unique.
Let me piggyback on that. Thank you there, Freddie. A good example, because I'd like to combine, put your hands like this, everyone, like a triangle, the 3 points of the triangle. Let's call this the P formula, PEA, standing for point, example, application. This is how I see it, as a cycle of communication that will empower any communicator to reach the audience in a way that makes far more sense by appealing, as we're talking about it now, to as many of the senses as possible. In holding back, almost every one of us have an experience we can remember where a teacher, a well-intentioned father or mother, or maybe not so well-intentioned, someone criticized you and you felt pushed down. Ever since that moment, you can remember it. Yes, that moment, that one, that's right, the one you keep thinking about. This is the reference moment, as you just mentioned, that has been that you identify with. I'm not good enough. Someone's going to punish me when I speak up. It could be anything, combination of these. And so what I find very useful is to do what I'm about to do with you now. You can do this together, and I'm happy to guide you through this, yes, in the Zoom session as well. This is what we can do generically. Picture whatever pain you've carried of feeling not good enough, of not trusting your words, your speech, your ability to get through difficult situations. It could be anything. Let's say you remember a time with your mom, your dad, teacher, someone who pushed you down. It's just getting energy moving in your body. And then looking up towards that person or that experience, and place your hand over towards them. I'm not going to face it towards you because I don't want to point at you. So point it slightly to an angle and say to that person or the situation, I now address you. From that time when you punished me or beat me up or told me I wasn't good enough, I took that in as part of my identity, not because that was who I was, but because that was how I could deal with your constant putting me down, criticisms, and I became a critic to myself. It's now internalized. This is not my program, my pattern, my pain. I took it in to develop a false persona that would allow me to survive with this constant being pushed down. And it's affected all of my thinking, my speaking, my actions, my interactions, my relationships. I don't feel safe speaking in public. Could be any of this. Now, here's how we go through it. I take this pain, as though you've got a ball, a bowl, B-O-W-L, a ball. And in this ball, I take this pain that I've gathered all these years, not feeling good enough, feeling I can't, whatever. Can't speak my truth with these. And I send it back to the source, back to where it came. Feel that, how good it feels to say that. And then, if you can, move clockwise like an analog clock. one time clockwise. This clock's used to move clockwise through time. Put your feet on the ground, deep breath in, filling your torso, filling the top of your lungs, with the heels of your hands up in the air, declaring, I reclaim fulfillment in my life, renewed again. I trust what I feel I have to say. Today for me is a new day. And the most important part, hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hooray! Everyone knows that. So this sets a whole new memory of the old situation. Now there's a feeling of the default program being, it's easy for me to reach you with my message. I trust what I deeply know, my thoughts, my words, my actions fully, freely flow. And this becomes more memorable than the old litany because we are engaging so many senses simultaneously and it feels good to feel good. So then this replaces the old condition, the old programs, patterns, and pain, sending them back to where they came, back to the source. Then we can claim a whole new way as we imagine ourselves and as butterflies come out, these cocoons that we've all been for so long. So this is what's underneath the program. By reproducing an old moment, creating a new ending that's more memorable, more magical, more memorable, the new condition replaces the old. Don't have to put attention on the old. The new takes over. This becomes the new default program. Hip, hip, hurroo! Bring in the hero. Row, row. Life is but a all the way through, if you get my drift.
I do, Gary. It's interesting. What my understanding is when a physical stimulus is applied to a high emotional response is often when these patterns get anchored in. And one of the challenges I had as a child is one of the teachers in the 4th grade asked me to write out 400 times that I am an idiot.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I was only a kid. And the teacher came back and saw me snickering and laughing, and I'm writing, Mr. Morris is an idiot. Yeah, and I got to about 30 times. Well, I got the strap for that. So you can imagine the anchors that were set in my life as a child. I had some, I was a bit of a kid. But these patterns that when I'm counseling or coaching and dealing with people, they're really deeply ingrained, those physical stimuluses. And it's like a metronome, it's ticking through your life. And what I noticed with your rhyme and your humor and your unique way, it just smashes those patterns. It just leaves them fragmented and they can't operate anymore. And then when you put in that humor, that rhyme, that's what's resonating. And when you've let it go and you've embraced that, when your mind goes back to the fragmented pattern, it can't put it back together anymore. And you sort of laugh at yourself and then you walk away with what you've installed. And that's fantastic for me, because often now when I look for those emotional crutches of what's wrong, there's nothing wrong. And I often have got like what's called a chain anchor to trigger to myself to laugh and be humorous about what has happened in the past. So it's something that you can describe it and talk about it like we are here, but you know, with all things like bodywork and experiential, they really need to come and see you and have these unique experiences.
But the beauty of it, Freddie, with what's happened in this, what do we ever call it, pandemic time, is that all of us, we have been forced to go within to find our own internal resources and to go without through Zoom and other online platforms. I find it's just as easy to connect with someone online with the visceral, visible connectivity that engages many more senses than we were given credit. I used to put down the online world, I felt it was only through physical touch, tears dripping, someone bursting into song, having huge emotional breakdown and breakthrough. I thought that was the only thing that was real. But now the combination of being in person, now I don't have to see someone. We can definitely engage with our eye contact, our voice tonality, the way we move, and actually invent new ways of connecting with ourselves and others. That's magnificent. So indeed, the new program becomes more memorable than the old, repetitive, boring pattern. By giving it life, color, shape, form, ridiculosity, it has more velocity to affect our entire core. So when we speak, we speak from a deeper place than we ever knew before. And through the body, I find if we can make all of these different places awaken to the consciousness that's buried within, then we have a real chance to free our clear seeing, our universal consciousness, our ability to speak our truth with ease, to grieve and let go, to open our hearts. It's safe for me to have it all. Take a deep breath in. What matters the most to me? I allow full breath. I receive beautiful colors, like the colors of sunrise. I claim my greatest fulfillment now. So we fuel ourselves with each full breath. So every word, every gesture, every sound carries more meaning. We matter more than we ever had any idea before. That's how powerful these times are. So I'd love to do this online as well as in person. There's so much more that our every thought, word, and action has impact than we had any idea before.
I
We're
noticed,
creating this together.
I noticed with NLP, once you've been subjected to a few trainings, it's easy for you to drop into trance. It's easy for you to submit to the processes. And if someone hasn't done any physical body work, or they haven't done yoga, or they haven't physically got a massage here and there, their reference structures aren't there. But once someone has gone through as many modalities as we have, this meeting becomes so much easier because you're able to initiate all those physical feelings within yourself. You can neurologically trigger your own physical responses in the online process. So what I find for me, it's very easy for me to get from an online session from you what I need physically as well. But if somebody has no body awareness, they're in trouble. Like you've done 5 rhythms. I think I met you there in Chapel Street somewhere. There was the 5 rhythms expression. And you've done so much spectrum of body work, mind work, spiritual work. It's a combination of things. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, woo-woo, flaky, you know. So it's really interesting. So I guess for me, I would like to say that doing it online works for me and I'm all for it. But if people haven't got some experience of some physicality, some reference structure, they really need to get up and get a few massages or a few body works or Reikis or something where they start to make the body-mind connection. And then it becomes very easy through the online medium because they can go there all by themselves.
Well, I agree with you, Freddie, and I want to enhance what you're saying because it's not necessary for people to have an offline physical experience of embodiment and somatic connection when they don't have one. We can do that online with anyone.
You can build.
You don't have to have any experience. And I'll show you how right now. One of my favorite exercises to guide people through, whether it's offline or online, is this simple exercise. Sit up tall, wherever you are. Take a deep breath all the way in. Picture as you breathe in, each inhale, sunrise lifting in the morning sky, the chest lifting, filling the chest and heart. Each inhale, picture sunrise lifting. Each full breath, like a sunrise, a fresh start. It's got a ring to it. Picturing as you exhale, waters falling down the spine with a sigh of relief. A sound of deepening. Picturing all you're letting go of as you exhale long. Breathing in, all you're receiving as you inhale strong. Waters falling long and deep, exhaling out with the old and bringing through what matters the most to you. Breathing in, full, clear, strong, more connected where you truly belong. Waters falling longer, further, deeper now. Sighs of relief, sounds of deepening, out with the old, bringing through the new. And breathing in, sunrise lifting, clear, strong. Bringing in the new, the renewal. And when I say fueling yourself with each full breath, literally, when we fill our lungs with fresh air, that pumping action on the exhale fuels the entire body by pumping more blood, more circulation, more life force through the being. Such an easy exercise. Anyone can practice this. You don't need any experience. If you remember one thing from this session today, remember, water's falling as I exhale long. Sunrise lifting, each inhale strong. Out with the old all the way through. In with the new. Bringing the renewal all the way through. So that simple exercise. Water's falling, each exhale long. Sunrise lifting, each inhale strong, is the simplest way to begin to have this body awareness of all you're ready to release at this time, all you're ready to receive at this time, and all you're ready to bring through at this time. A great place to start. This moment, all the time in the world.
Well, Gary, you're a very profound man, and I encourage the listeners to seek you out. You're online. How do people find you, Gary?
You can find me online. You can find me by going to my website, my name. You can also send this to people in the text messaging with this, GaryWohlman.com, Gary, Wohlman, W for whiskey, O for Oscar, H for happy, L for love, MAN, GaryWohlman.com. And there's a page, once you open up that on your browser, that's my Facebook page, my GaryWohlman.com website. Go to the Wohlman method, and this will describe all through there many different online opportunities for you, many free videos. You can have a complimentary 20-minute session from me online through Skype or through Zoom, which I prefer these days. And yes, many videos also on mypresentationdoctor.com, also a Facebook page. Lots of content, audios, videos, print materials. I teach dancing freedom online classes, many ways to get involved. But I recommend that you contact me. You can also reach me, Dr. Gary, DRGARY, at mypresentationdoctor.com. I'll give you these so you can send that to people in printed form as well.
Yeah. All Gary's socials and connectivities and sites will be listed in the notes below the video. Sure. And a short bio from Gary, which Gary will provide. So we've got plenty more people coming up with some interesting perspectives on health and wellness and well-being. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And I want to thank you so much, Gary, for your very valuable and precious time. I really appreciate you coming on and showing the world how unique and special you are.
It's such a special opportunity at this time to provide tools for all of us to awaken, to remember. Yes, we are awakening. Yes, we are remembering. Fresh stories, new glories. We dance and sing. Yes, we are remembering. Yes, we are awakening. Look forward to connecting more with you. Hip,
Thanks.
hip, hurroo!
Hooroo.
Bring in the hurroo to
Hooroo.
every me, we, and you.